Imagine an operating system for the human mind, a system that hasn't become obsolete for 2,000 years, a system designed to cope with chaos, stress, and uncertainty. It requires no updates, is not dependent on technology, and is available to each of us right now. This system is called Stoicism. Hello, friends. Today we will talk not so much about what Stoicism is, but rather about what it is not. We will examine the most common mental errors that daily steal our energy, peace, and happiness. Errors that ancient Stoics, such as Emperor Marcus Aurelius, Nero's advisor Seneca, and the former slave Epictetus, would have considered absolutely irrational. Their philosophy is not about suppressing emotions and becoming a soulless robot. It's about gaining inner strength, about the ability to distinguish what is important from what is secondary, and about how to live a meaningful and dignified life, despite any external circumstances. So let's delve into the wisdom of the Stoics and look at 7 major mistakes they would never have made. And I am sure that in some of them you, like me, will recognize yourselves. Mistake number 1, worrying about what is beyond our control. This is perhaps the foundation of all Stoic philosophy. The most important and most frequent mistake we make dozens of times a day. We get angry when stuck in traffic. We worry about the weather that might spoil our weekend plans. We torment ourselves over what other people might think of us. We fear an economic crisis or political instability. What unites all these things? We cannot control them. Not at all. Epictetus, a philosopher who went from being a slave to a respected teacher, expressed this idea with utmost clarity at the very beginning of his Enchiridion. He said, "Of existing things, some are in our power, others are not. In our power are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Not in our power are our body, property, reputation, government, and, in a word, whatever are not our own actions." This is called the dichotomy of control. Imagine an archer. It is in his power to choose the best bow and arrows, to train for hours, perfecting his technique, to control his breathing, to aim, and to smoothly release the string. But once the arrow has left the bow, it is no longer in his power. A sudden gust of wind, the movement of the target, a hidden defect in the arrow. All of these can affect the outcome. A wise archer, a Stoic, will focus 100% on what he can control, the process of shooting, and he will accept any result. A foolish archer will curse the wind, complain about the target, and rage at missing the mark. He wastes his energy on what he cannot change. How to apply this in life? Every time you feel anxiety, anger, or disappointment, ask yourself one simple question: is what troubles me within my control? If the answer is no, and in 99% of cases it will be, then your task, from the Stoic perspective, is to accept it as a given. Traffic is a given. Your colleague's opinion is his opinion, a given. A past event is already a given. To stop wasting precious mental energy fighting windmills is the first and most important step towards inner peace. This does not mean being passive. On the contrary, it means freeing up an enormous amount of resources to direct them towards what you genuinely can change: your own thoughts, reactions, and actions. Mistake number 2, seeking happiness and self-worth in external things. We live in a world that constantly screams at us, "You will be happy when you buy a new phone, when you get a promotion, when you gain 1 million followers, when you move into a big house, when you find the one." Our self-worth is tied to likes on social media, to brands on clothing, to the approval of others. Stoics would call this madness. They believed that relying on external things for happiness is like building a house on sand. Today you have money. Tomorrow it's gone. Today you are praised. Tomorrow you are criticized. Today you are healthy. Tomorrow you might get sick. All external things are inherently fragile, temporary, and beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world of his time, the Roman emperor, wrote in his personal diary, which we know as Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Imagine your self-esteem as a scoreboard. For most people, this scoreboard is external, on public display. Every passerby can come up and write anything on it. You're great, you're a failure, you look tired, and a person's mood changes depending on these inscriptions. For a Stoic, this scoreboard is internal. Only he himself has the right to make entries on it. His self-worth depends not on others' opinions or material possessions, but on his own virtues, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. He acts rightly, not because he will be praised, but because it is right. His value is determined by his character, not his bank account. This does not mean one must renounce all the benefits of civilization and live in a barrel like Diogenes. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, but he taught that wealth should be treated like a guest. Rejoice when it is present, and calmly let it go when it leaves. One should use external goods, but not become dependent on them. Every time you catch yourself thinking, if only I had X, I would be happy, stop. A Stoic would ask themselves, does my happiness truly depend on this thing? Or does it depend on my character, my principles, and my attitude towards life? True, unbreakable joy, according to the Stoics, comes from within. Mistake number 3, living in the past or the future. Another common mental trap. Our mind is a time machine that constantly carries us either to the past or to the future. We replay past mistakes in our minds, regretting what we said or didn't do. I should have answered differently. Or if only I had invested in those stocks. Why did I argue with that person? This is the realm of regret and guilt, or we transport ourselves into the future, building anxious scenarios. What if I fail the presentation? What if I get fired? What will happen if I get sick? This is the territory of fear and worry. In both cases, we miss the only thing we truly have, the present. The past is gone, the future is not yet here. Life happens only here and now. Seneca, in his treatise on the shortness of life, wrote, "Men do not allow anyone to seize their estates, and if there is the slightest dispute about boundaries, they rush to stones and arms, yet they allow others to encroach upon their lives. Indeed, they themselves lead future masters into them. No one returns money to the one to whom he owes it. But how much of life does each of us return? We are stingy with property and money. But when it comes to spending time, the only thing in which it is commendable to be stingy, we show incredible wastefulness." Stoics did not urge a complete disregard for the past and future. The past is a source of lessons. The future is a space for planning, but one must live in the present. Analyze past mistakes so as not to repeat them, but do not drown in regret. Plan future actions to be prepared, but do not live in anxiety about what may never happen. A practical tip from the Stoics: bring yourself back to the here and now. Feel your feet on the floor. Take a deep breath in and out. Focus on the task you are performing right now, be it washing dishes, writing a report, or talking with a loved one. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, every hour, be firmly determined to do what you have in hand with precise and unfeigned dignity, with love, with freedom, with justice, and free yourself from all other perceptions. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. It is a premiere happening right now. Don't let the ghosts of the past and the chimeras of the future steal this show from you. Mistake number 4, taking everything personally and being easily offended. Someone replied rudely to you in line. A colleague criticized your work. A stranger online left an angry comment. What is our typical reaction? Offense, anger, a desire to defend ourselves or retaliate. We take it personally, as a personal insult. Stoics considered such a reaction a logical error. They would say that it's not the event itself that upsets us, but our judgment about the event. Another person's words are merely sound waves or symbols on a screen. They gain the power to hurt us only when we ourselves decide they are offensive. Epictetus said, "If anyone irritates you, know that it is your own opinion that irritates you." Therefore, endeavor above all not to be carried away by the impression. As soon as you gain time and pause, you will more easily master yourself. Imagine someone called you a giraffe. Would you be offended? Most likely not. You would just think the person is strange because you are obviously not a giraffe. But if someone says, "You acted foolishly," we immediately resent it. Why? Because somewhere deep down, we fear there's a grain of truth to it. It's not the word itself that bothers us, but our own doubt. Marcus Aurelius proposed a brilliant technique. Every morning he would tell himself, "Today I shall be meeting with the officious, with the ungrateful, the insolent, the treacherous, the envious, the unsocial. All these things happen to them by reason of their ignorance of what is good and evil." He did not take their behavior personally. He understood that another person's rudeness, anger, and envy were their problem, their illness, their ignorance. It's like being angry at a sick person for having a fever. Instead of offense, he practiced compassion and leniency. What does this mean for us? When you encounter criticism or rudeness, pause. Do not react instantly. Ask yourself, why is this person saying or acting this way? Perhaps they are having a bad day. Perhaps they are projecting their own fears and insecurities onto me. Does their opinion truly have power over me if I don't give it to them myself? This does not mean you should allow yourself to be walked over. A Stoic will defend their boundaries and act justly, but they will do so calmly, out of reason, not out of a wounded ego. They understand that the best revenge, as Marcus Aurelius said, is not to be like your oppressor. Mistake number 5, avoiding discomfort and difficulties. The modern world is obsessed with the idea of comfort. Convenient food delivery, soft sofas, air conditioners, entertainment with one click. We strive to avoid any difficulties, physical exertion, and mental effort. And in this lies a great danger. Stoics understood that a person, like a muscle, only grows under strain. A constant life of comfort makes us weak, effeminate, and fragile. The slightest problem, the slightest disruption to our usual way of life, throws us off balance and causes panic. Seneca actively practiced what today might be called voluntary discomfort. He wrote to his friend Lucilius, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse clothing, and shall ask yourself, is this the thing I used to dread?" He deliberately slept on hard floors, ate simple food, and walked in cold weather. Why? Not out of masochism, but to inoculate himself against difficulties. Firstly, he understood that what we fear is not actually so terrible. Secondly, he prepared himself for possible turns of fate. If he were to lose his wealth, he would know that he could survive and even be happy with little. For Stoics, the obstacle on the path is the path itself. Marcus Aurelius formulated this principle as, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Imagine you are pushing a heavy rock uphill. You can curse its weight, or you can perceive it as a training machine that makes you stronger with each step. Problems at work are not a curse, but an opportunity to learn how to solve complex tasks. Conflict with a person is an opportunity to practice patience and empathy. A hard workout is an opportunity to strengthen your body and will, instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" A Stoic asks, "What can I do about it? How can I use this situation to become better? How can we apply this today?" Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Take a cold shower. Try intermittent fasting. Walk instead of driving. Take on a challenging project that scares you. Every time you consciously choose not the easiest path, you temper your character and build your inner fortress. Mistake number 6, forgetting your own mortality. Sounds a bit grim, doesn't it? In our culture, it's not common to talk about death. We act as if we will live forever. We postpone important conversations, put off our dreams, waste time on empty quarrels and meaningless activities, as if we have an infinite supply. Stoics, however, considered the reminder of death, memento mori, remember death, one of the most powerful tools for a meaningful life. They were not pessimists or goths. On the contrary, they were full of a zest for life. The awareness that our time is limited acts as a powerful filter. It helps to sift out all the unimportant things and concentrate on what truly matters. Imagine you found out you had 1 year left to live. Would you continue scrolling through social media feeds for hours? Would you argue with loved ones over trivial matters? Would you continue working a job you hate? Most likely not. You would focus on your values, on relationships, on leaving something good behind. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is not a threat, but a call to action. Don't put off life until later. Live here and now. Say important words now. Do what you believe is right now. The practice of memento mori is not about constantly thinking about death in a depressive way. It's about using that thought to gain clarity and motivation. Place a skull on your desk, virtual or real as some Stoics did. Before going to bed, ask yourself, if this day were my last, would I be content with how I lived it? This exercise is sobering. It reminds us what a precious gift time is, and what foolishness it is to spend it on grievances, fears, procrastination, and chasing meaningless things. To remember death is to truly begin to live. Mistake number 7, neglecting virtue and character. And finally, we come to the very essence of Stoicism. If you ask a modern person what a good life is, they will most likely name health, wealth, success, travel, pleasures. If you ask a Stoic the same question, they will give one single answer. A good life is a life in agreement with virtue. For Stoics, the only true good is virtue, arete in Greek, which also means excellence or superiority, and the only true evil is its opposite, vice. Everything else, health, money, reputation, even life or death itself, they called indifferent things, not because they didn't care about them, but because they have no intrinsic moral value. It is better to be poor but honest than rich but a swindler. It is better to be sick but courageous than healthy but cowardly. Stoics identified 4 main virtues. Wisdom, the ability to distinguish good from bad and indifferent. Justice, treating other people correctly. Courage, the ability to endure difficulties and act rightly in the face of danger or fear. Temperance, self-control, the ability to master one's desires and passions. Everything a Stoic did, he filtered through these virtues. In any situation, he would ask himself, how can I act wisely here? What would be just? What action would require courage? How can I show temperance? To make the mistake of neglecting virtue means chasing external attributes of success, completely forgetting what kind of person you become in the process of that race. It means cheating to get a contract, flattering to get a promotion, betraying principles for immediate gain. Stoics would say that such a person, even if they achieve all their external goals, is deeply unhappy because they have destroyed the most valuable thing they possess, their soul, their character, their inner integrity. How is this applicable to us? At the end of the day, instead of evaluating your day by the number of tasks completed or money earned, try to evaluate it stoically. Ask yourself, was I honest today? Did I show courage when it was needed? Was I fair to colleagues and loved ones? Was I able to control my anger or resist temptation? It is the work on one's character, the daily striving to become a little wiser, fairer, and more courageous, that is, according to the Stoics, the main goal and the primary source of genuine, unshakable happiness. Conclusion. Let's look again at these 7 mistakes. 1. Worrying about what is beyond our control. 2. Seeking happiness in external things. Living in the past or future. Taking everything personally. Avoiding discomfort. 6. Forgetting about death. Neglecting one's character. This is not just a list. It is a map of our mind's traps. Stoicism is not a set of boring rules, but a practical guide for navigating a complex world. It is a philosophy of action. It does not promise you a life without problems. On the contrary, it says that problems will always exist, but it gives you the tools to face them with dignity, serenity, and courage. It teaches us that it is not circumstances that define our lives, but our reaction to them. And you don't need to become a perfect Stoic overnight. That's impossible. Even Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote his meditations as reminders to himself because he struggled with the same mistakes every day. What can you do right now? Choose one mistake from this list, the one that resonates most with you, and for the next week, simply observe yourself, not judging, but with the curiosity of an explorer. At what moments do you make it? What is the trigger? Simple awareness is already half the battle. Stoicism is a lifelong journey, a path to inner freedom, resilience, and peace. And you can start this journey today simply by deciding not to make at least one of these mistakes. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If it was helpful to you, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new episodes. And be sure to write in the comments which of these mistakes you are most familiar with and how you deal with it. Let's learn together. Be stoic, and see you next time.